So, welcome to those of you who are joining us live. We'll get started in just a moment. And we're certainly always thankful for those of you who make time to view these conversations later. Welcome to Aging While Black Live, and we're excited to share with you. We will start in literally 1 minute. And welcome to Aging While Black Live. I'm Raymond Jedson, the curator of Aging While Black, and I'm excited to share this time with you each month as we just explore this important intersection of aging and race. Aging While Black is a multifaceted platform that elevates the voices of Black elders by amplifying their stories, perspectives, and realities. Our intent is to generate collective learning and action around the systemic inequities faced by aging Black people and to co create policy and people driven responses that make a difference in the world around us. I am beyond excited this month to welcome Dr. C. Percil Stanford to Aging While Black Live. As you doubtlessly or may have seen in our social media, we are really lifting up those who are vanguards in Aging While Black Live. As many of you have heard me say before, no movement it starts in and of itself. There are always efforts that have preceded us in creating a way. And it is important for us in this month to acknowledge that Aging While Black is resting and standing upon the shoulders of giants who have gone before us and paved the way. And Dr. Stanford is certainly one of those upon whose shoulders we stand. So, Dr. Stanford, welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, over the last few days, we have shared a bit about you and your work with our audience in an attempt to prompt them for this conversation. But how would you introduce yourself to our community?
Well, I would first introduce myself as one who has, for, the last 60 years or so, I guess, wanted to posit older Black people and aging individuals as persons who represent the foundation of who and what we are. And further, when it comes to older Black people, they have been the unsung heroes in many ways that have been responsible for laying the foundation for what it means to be resilient and persevere in a society that sometimes does not really provide for or respect individuals who are older people. I also feel that I've been someone who wants to make sure that we do all we can to make sure the policies and the legislative aspects of protecting our rights and who we are as older people are put in place and maintained, and that we bring people together. I think it's important to not only look at our respective spiritual beliefs, our respective ethnicities, and so forth, but to look at how we can join forces to make life better for everyone. So it's the collective efforts and the collective voices that I think are important. And I would just like to think that some of the work I've done over the years has led to bringing people together, bringing individuals and groups together to bring about change.
Thank you so much for that. When you consider your work in this area, the 60 plus years of commitment to this effort, what does the concept of aging while Black bring to mind for you?
Well, I thought about that a lot. And the first question that came to my mind was, why do I have to think about it? I mean, why is it important? And when I kind of dug into it a little bit, I began to think about what are the foundations that have led us to be where we are. And we have to go back and to think about the fact that we came to this territory, to this land, without prospects of being independent, without the prospect of having a real voice and say into who we are and what we do. So as I think about the older people that have come up through generations in our society, they have laid the foundation for all of us to get an education, to begin to identify who we want to be and who we are, and to understand that we have not come into this life within this society with any entitlements that were put forth for anybody in our society were not meant for us, because we were not seen as whole human beings. So when I think about the whole process of aging while Black in our society, I liken it somewhat to running a marathon. For anybody that's ever been a runner and a distance runner knows that there are peaks and valleys. And I would also say on top of that, to keep the track and field analogy going, it's also like laying on top of that the aspects of a steeplechase, where you have the ups and downs and trying to get hurdles and trying to get through the water and keep going. So when I think about aging while Black, it's all of that. And you add to that a coat of armor that you have to wear, which is heavy, and protect yourself as you're moving down that path. So it's all of those things that are visceral, and they are emotional, and they are human. And then I think about just plain survival, running the gauntlet of going from your home to the store to get some groceries and wanting to get back home safely. And those are the kinds of things that we experience and have experienced growing up to be an older Black person, that are still with us and still weigh heavy on who we are. And many of those things have not disappeared.
So, Dr. Stanford, I want to share with you that that illustration, that expression of the essence of aging while Black that you so wonderfully articulated is it's a cut that I will certainly be recommending to my team that we edit from this and share just as its own freestanding comment. It was powerful. So you mentioned earlier, having been at this work 60 years and seeking to to make a deposit. Along that journey, you've experienced a number of firsts, whether it was a PhD program or congressional fellow or initiating departments at San Diego State University and lifting up voting voices and other really, really important work that you've been at the first, the tip of the spear. How would you describe your journey over these years?
Well, I'll use the word first again. And first of all, I have resisted being tagged with being the first, because I think when you focus on being the first, it detracts from what the first really means, what the first was. And people say, you're the first, but first what? What does it mean? And what I try to do is to get people to focus on, why do you have to talk to me about being the first? And then try to explain what it was that I did that makes them want to ask that question. So when I think about the first, it means, what challenges did you overcome? What were the obstacles? What were the positive things that happened along the way? So in the field of aging, when I think about some of the things that I've been involved with, and with just tons of other people, I think about the discussions that we've had over the years about what is the field of aging and what does it mean? And is it a discipline? Should it be a discipline called gerontology or geriatrics? And many people have felt over the years that, well, maybe it should not be. Maybe it should be a part of psychology, sociology, or some other kind of ology, but not gerontology. So when I go back and think about those challenges and what it means personally, I ask the question, was I, should I have been the right person, the first person to maybe get involved in and pursue a degree in aging? One of the actually first we want to talk about first, when the National Institutes of Child Health and Human Development started their research fellowship program in aging in the mid-60s. The Midwest Council on Aging received the first grant to implement that program. And I was one of 6 or so people in Midwest universities that received those research and fellowship grants, and just happened to be the first person to graduate with the PhD from that program. So that was exciting, which led to being, again, perhaps the first person to be hired by the Administration on Aging when it first started. Started in 65, I went there in early 68, but was hired by the first commissioner to help to implement what was then the Title V program, which was education and training. So got involved in working with programs around the country, universities and colleges, and state programs to help implement the training programs. So all of that brings about a lot of scrutiny and questions in terms of what difference does it make? What difference has it made? And I think that me personally, it has made me become more aware of what it means to try to put things in place that have durability. And along the way thinking about who and what can make a difference in sustaining efforts. And it's not just being the first, but if it's worthwhile, how can it be sustained? I think that's kind of one of the main takeaways for me.
Yeah, and this whole notion of sustaining effort, particularly building movements, efforts, work that have lives beyond even our own, is an important uh, aspect of I think really making a deposit and a contribution into the world, which is where I want to go next. And so, you've done research, writing, you've been a teacher, you've worked in government at really, really important moments in important roles. What what element of all of that has given you the greatest sense of meaning, or purpose, or contribution?
I struggled with that a bit, primarily because of the eclectic nature of the work I've done. But I think what cuts across all of that is looking at what all that means in terms of compassion, empathy, and a sense of being in real time. And what I mean by that is that we need to be conscious of what changes we're trying to make and why we're trying to make changes and what are those changes based on, and being able to have some realistic goals that we can get others interested in buying into. And I guess a part of that is fostering a sense of collective goals, a sense of community, and sharing the work that we do. And I think the essence of all of that is to try to bring together individuals, bring together organizations, bring together people with different thought ideas, not just people who think like us, but try to bring people together who really make us rethink what we believe in, and to glean from those interactions things that can further the purposes of all of the other individuals involved. So if I put all that together, I would say when you put self aside and think about what it is we're trying to convey to society, we can really do much more good by being unselfish, by opening ourselves to the possibility that maybe what we are trying to do could be done in a different way, or maybe it could be tweaked in a way that others can respect and appreciate what we're doing.
Thank you again. A recent part of this ongoing journey for you has been the transition from your various previous roles, and in particular academics and programming, to lived experience in terms of this aging construct. Uh, what would you say about this part of your journey? How would you describe or share with our community?
I think for me, it has been a kind of an additive process. I grew up at a time when we were around older people, and I saw those older people struggle with just living, surviving. And that taught me and my siblings a lot about what life might be like as we age, as we got older. So that as I've gotten older and moved away from, I guess, the experiences of working and competing and trying to, in quote, do something worthwhile, to the transition of just living life as an older person, I just have realized that no level of research, no level of teaching or being involved in policy development can adequately prepare one for the role or roles that one would assume as an older person or as a caregiver. It's more than the 24/7 that some of the literature talks about, or the 36-hour day that has been referenced. It's more visceral. It's more trying to unpack and understand what others are experiencing and adjust to the point where, for me, at least my response to that person or that circumstance is such that it enables them to survive and have a better life. I've had to really consciously say out loud at times, I don't know what I don't know. And when I don't know what I don't know, sometimes I don't know what questions to ask or how to respond. So it's a matter of putting on the brakes and saying, oh, stop a minute and absorb what you're experiencing and not just react. So I think the physical and the mental tasks that are required at times can be overwhelming, but then having to step back and say, well, it's not new. It's just that I'm experiencing it for the first time, and take off that cloak of poor me or why me. It's not about me. It's about how you adjust and give up yourself to being that entity, that vessel for caring and being able to have that empathy that is necessary. So the mental task, I think, initially is the hardest. And I think when we're in the classroom or when we are giving big speeches or when we're talking about here's what you do or here's how you do it, we're really sometimes just parroting what we've heard, but we're not really sharing a live and lived experience.
I loved the comment that you made there. If I may paraphrase, it's not new, but it may be new to me.
Right.
And so being present in that moment. As we prepare to wrap up, if you could share one message with the next generation of those active and elevating the aging experience in America, especially for Black elders, what would be that message?
I think the message is very straightforward. That is, don't dismiss history. go back and try to understand the circumstances, the plight, and the life of those persons whose shoulders we do stand on. And as I was thinking about some of our conversation for today, I thought about what I call the five Jacksons. Uh, those are Black people in the history of aging that we sometimes don't really know much about. And if I can get them all straight, one was Jacqueline Jackson. Jackie Jackson was a sociologist who really started talking about Black aging back in the 50s when she did her dissertation in sociology. Then you had Hobart Jackson, who was from Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, and really made most Americans more aware of the plight of the need for care for Black older people. You had James Jackson, University of Michigan, who did just a lot of research and comparative research on Black aging and other aging entities. You had Maurice Jackson, California, University of, I forget which university now, but he really did a considerable work to get us to think about the social changes in aging and some focus on Black aging. And then Theodore Jackson, who was from New York and was very instrumental in getting some of the state agencies on aging to recognize the need for more attention to Black aging. So, I mean, I just kind of put those together because these are people with the same last name, but had kind of different perspectives to get us to focus on Black aging. So I would want to get the next generation to really know about those people. And then, I mean, this is Black History Month, and not forget about the Frederick Douglasses and Harriet Tubmans and people like that. And I mentioned those two people because those two people both grew up on plantations about 9 to 12 miles respectively from where I was born on the eastern shore of Maryland. And people don't know the history of those individuals who gave their lives and their time to make this a better society. So my last plea would be education, 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 and awareness.
Thank you. We typically wrap up these sessions by pointing out that Aging While Black seeks to be a catalyst for movement building around three pillars. One, recalibrating the village, being mindful of the infrastructure in communities that supports life, that supports Black life, and how do we need to think differently about it. Embracing innovation and rapid change. How do we harness the capacities and the full potential of technology and other innovations to improve the quality of life for older people, especially Black elders in America, and leaning into Sankofa. How do we make the wisdom of the elders readily available in intentional ways that build stronger families, stronger communities, and ultimately a stronger country? That's the movement that we are seeking to build. As someone who has spent 6 decades in this work, what would be your best hope for Aging While Black?
I guess my best hope would be that not only we as Black people, but others who are, on the same battlefield, you might say, can gain, I guess, value from our elders and learn from our elders. And I think, I really have a lot of respect for the American Indian culture. And I put that in quotes because I realize the variances and differences within the Native American community. But the respect they have for their elders and the leadership that they glean from their elders is important. So I think if we go back and apply the same kind of a lens to ourselves as Black people, we can really attribute a lot of value to what it is that they have brought to us and for us. And one of the things that I thought about in this arena is that grandparents, great-grandparents, and great-great-grandparents of today in the Black community have a lot of wisdom, a lot of genuine wisdom to share that we don't really take advantage of. And I think this whole notion of the digital age and making sure that older people understand and can participate through those venues is important. So I think there's a lot of hope, but I think we have to be diligent and we have to be patient. And we have to bring people along with us. And it's what I have often called, we have to have not only the compassion, but the ability to implement what I call the gentle hand-holding approach to success.
Thank you. There is one question that we have from the audience, and it is looking to the future. What would you recommend as a top priority towards improving the quality of life for our elders of color in practice and or in policy? And thank you
Yeah.
for the question.
Okay. Yeah, I think the set of priorities would be, I think one is improving the health status of Black older people. With our good health, we can do a lot of, in quote, good things. Without our good health, we don't have the energy, we don't have the power, we can't think about what to do. So I think improving health is one of the main things. I think another is that from a policy standpoint, we have to look at the constellation of income, housing, and the day-to-day living conditions of older people in our society, and actually get more involved in policy and policy development, and just get down to the basics of getting involved in our communities, running for office, being involved in those organizations and activities where people make decisions about our lives and not just stand on the side and say, oh, what should have been done.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Stanford, thank you for being generous with your time and with your wisdom. We are grateful that you would be available to spend this time with us in Black History Month during Aging While Black Live. And so just thank you so much for sharing with us, and Godspeed to you and your family. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you.